Batman. Good luck, Harry Potter.
Well, cover me with eggs and flour and bake me for 40 minutes.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of ScreenMasters with me, Bav.
And me, Fluff.
And today we are going to be discussing Red Dwarf. Which, for anyone that isn't from the UK, I think it got shown in America.
It did, yeah.
Is a British sitcom started in 1988 and is still going to this day.
Yep.
It got picked up by another network a few years ago. But in the immortal words of Thin Lizzy, I feel we have to say, the boys are back in town.
You're going to do this. You're going to do this every time now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool.
Because it's not even just me now.
Okay.
The good lady teacher,
Yeah.
her indoors, has actually got a note going in her phone whenever she thinks of one that would work.
It's not Backstreet Boys, so that's.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still trying to think of 5 steps, those sort of things, but I haven't got one yet. She'll come up with some.
Okay.
It's fine. We went with Thin Lizzy today.
Okay.
Keep it at that. So, TV episode, and we're talking about Red Dwarf. But first, I've got some TV news that we really need to discuss because it's got me all kinds of buzzing.
Okay.
So, this was reported. I'm taking this straight from the Digital Spy article that I read on the 27th of September. So, the Arrowverse, our good friends over at the Arrowverse, they're doing their yearly crossover that they now do. So this time is Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I know where you're going with this already.
So we're getting Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman, which I didn't even know was a series they were doing, and Black Lightning. But it's also going to incorporate other DC shows, DC films, other things. So John Wesley Shipp, who played Flash in the original 90s series, is going to be in it. He is going to be joined by Brandon Routh, who will play Ray Palmer, who he is in Legends of Tomorrow, but also he's going to play the Man of Steel from the Superman universe, the Superman Returns universe, where he was Superman.
Actually, it's Kingdom Come.
But the biggest news and the best news is that my friend and yours, Tom Welling, is coming back.
I knew this is. I knew that's where this was going.
They're incorporating Smallville, Fluffy. They're putting Smallville back on the telly.
Yep.
What am I supposed to do?
Yep. I'm not watching it.
From the first
I'm not watching it just because it's no.
Well, part of me wants to watch it.
Yeah,
more curiosity, because how the fucking hell do you cross over 5 shows in a single week? It's just absolutely insane.
Yeah, I read.
Especially with the budgets of the CW as well.
Yeah, I don't know whether you've also read, but one of the people from Birds of Prey, which was set before all of this, has also been signed up.
Oh, great. And I know Erica Durance is coming back as Lois Lane as well. Although I did read Michael Rosenbaum won't be coming back as Lex for the Smallville thing. It was quite funny. I've got the little tweet here because they posted it on there. So he said, WB called my agents Friday afternoon when I was in Florida visiting my grandfather in a nursing home. He tweeted, their offer, no script, no idea what I'm doing, no idea when I'm shooting, basically no money. And the real kick in the ass, we have to know now. My simple answer was pass. I think you can understand why. I hope this answers all of your questions.
Yep.
Lovingly, Rosenbaum.
Yep.
And fair play. I'd rather he voiced the Flash in an animated TV show anyway.
Yeah.
Or film. I'd take any of it.
Happily.
So, I had to shout. Obviously, I'm not excited in the slightest, but
yeah, as soon as it was a Smallville thing, I figured you would.
Smallville is a constant thing on this show, so I felt I had to mention it. I really did. Anyway, as I dived in too quickly again, like I did last episode, I've forgotten all the shout-out type stuff.
I did warn you this time.
Should probably do. Yeah, you did. So, hello. This is ScreenMasters. This is a podcast where we discuss film and TV on alternating weeks. You can join the conversation with us over on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/The ScreenMasters. You can message us there, leave comments on the videos. It's got the links to all the videos and all the various platforms that we're available on. You can head over to the YouTube channel. We've just started putting them on there as well, even though they're audio-only content. It'd really help us if you could head over to the YouTube channel, which is under Bite Back Media. So either search ScreenMasters or Bite Back Media, and the bite is a computer bite, not a food bite, as I always say. And just like the page, subscribe to the page for us. I think it's about 100 we need, and then it kicks off some sort of algorithms or something. I don't know. But it may actually end up making us money to, if you listened to me last time, to just keep Wayne in coffee, because he edits this for us painstakingly.
Thank you, Wayne.
And he knocks this into some sort of legible form for you guys to listen to. So you can also, if you'd like to, head over to the Patreon site as well, which is over at patreon.com, and again search for Bite Back Media, because as I talk to you now, I don't actually have the really nice simple link for you, but I will do by the next episodes. But like I say, the free way to help us would be to head over to YouTube and like the Bite Back Media YouTube page and subscribe to that for us. But if you want to donate more directly, and again, none of this is coming to me, none of this is coming to Fluff, it's all going to go to Wayne, who does the editing at this point and keep the studio going up in his neck of the woods. So, I've done that bit now, so apologies. Let's go back to you and continue the news.
Okay, I don't really have... there's not been particularly much in the way of news, I think, because we had Comic-Con and then we had the D23 and stuff like that, so there's not been as much newsworthy stuff of late. You covered the pointless Smallville anecdote there, so we won't cover that again. The only thing I've got of note, really, that actually tickled my interest when I did read this was a possible casting for Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye series.
Okay, yeah.
Which is Haley Steinfeld, who you might recognise from No Country for Old Men, I believe it was.
Yes.
And also from the Bumblebee movie, which we both enjoyed.
Of course,
which
yes.
we both enjoyed.
I really enjoyed that.
It has nothing to do with the fact that John Cena was in that, and we're not
try John Cena's theme. I can't think of what his theme is.
You can't see me?
Oh, it's ba ba da bow, ba ba da bow, but I can't think of what the words are, because we're back to rap again, and I'm not rapping again.
I'm sure Wayne will throw that in there for you.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
Thank you, Wayne. So that was just a really interesting thing. She's a decent actress. I do kind of like her, and I think her against Jeremy Renner could work quite well. And now this is just early days, so we'll see how that kind of pans out. But the fact that they're going for somebody quite high profile. Mm-hmm. Is good incentive. Again, now this is another thing that I had read. Now, this again, take this with a grain of salt, that they are looking to build a Young Avengers team.
Lovely.
So, again, this is perhaps going to lead us to some of the other characters. Whether we end up seeing in WandaVision the introduction of Wiccan and Speed, who's to say? There's many avenues that many of these characters could go down. As we discussed, Ms. Marvel is going to be introduced. Whether she will be part of the Young Avengers team, who's to say at this moment in time? It may not necessarily be faithful to the great run that we both read way back a good few years ago now. 10, 15 years ago? It's been quite a while. We're intrigued to see where that's going to go. But that is, I've not got much on the news front this time.
We'll
but
leave the news at that stage then. And
head straight in. So it's TV time, so it's over to me this time. So now, we decided after a little bit of discussion this time, so I did discuss with Pete. Now, this all actually instigated because it was a recent birthday for myself, and my good brother was very kind and bought me the Blu-ray set for Red Dwarf. So, that being there and me starting to watch that again, we obviously started a conversation. Now, you're a bit of a small kind of little bit of a small
I may
Red
be a
Dwarf
tiny
fan.
Red Dwarf fan. Again, shout out to Borley if he's listening, but he will know the most how into that show particularly back in my youth I was. I
think we both were.
I've got bobbleheads all over the place. I've got models of every single craft they did. I've got a genuine Mr. Flibble puppet from the Quarantine episode. I've had a baseball cap the other day that I'd totally forgotten I'd got. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I've seen those shows, I don't even know how many times.
I couldn't count either.
When I was in my youth, I just watched them over and over again because I adored them. Now, having said that, I haven't seen whatever the last season was. I think
it was
12?
Season 12, yeah.
So I haven't seen that one.
Mm-hmm.
I did watch 11, I've seen 10, 8 and all the way back. But I'll be honest, my picks are from the first 6 seasons, because for me, that was, particularly season 3 to 5, I feel was peak Dwarf for me, personally. And it's not just because that's when I was watching it, it's that the for anyone that doesn't know, after season 6, the writers, Rob Grant and Doug Naylor, split. And Rob Grant went off to do other things, and Doug Naylor remained as the sole writer, helped at times by, I think Robert Llewellyn wrote a couple, and I think Chris Barry helped write one or something around the time that Rimmer left in season 7. For me, I felt it never regained what it had season 3 to 5, and maybe bits of 6. I don't think all of 6. Things like Polymorph 2 I don't think is great. It's just taking the polymorph joke and trying to do it again. But I there are bits of that, as we'll see, that I think do hold up and are very good. But yeah, I'm not a massive fan of anything from 7 onwards, really.
As soon as I think 7, 8, 9 probably didn't again take up my fan.
There was no 9.
Well, no, it was the Back to Earth,
which was a bit too meta.
It really was. I appreciate the fact that they tried to do something different, but when they went back to the original format, as we might consider it, in season 10, there are some really enjoyable ones in 10 for me. One may have crept into my list. I think that's because I wanted to pick something relatively new as well. I didn't want to just because I think we could both agree that the first 5 series are wholeheartedly the best of the bunch. But I also wanted to pick one which was a bit fresh, a bit new, and was a bit different as well, because it covers jokes from the previous 7 series and things like that. So that, but
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think you went first with the last.
I did. So yeah, you can.
Okay, I'll go first this time.
Yeah.
So as usual, we'll do our. Well, mine is the top 5. I don't know whether yours is. I can't remember what you said now, but
it's top 5.
Just leaving one to discuss at the end.
I think we will. I think we kind of know which that.
One that's the same, and it's my number 1, and it wouldn't be his, but we're going to discuss it last anyway because we've both picked it. So. My number 5 would be White Hole from season 4. It's one of the. I had to put it in here because you picked an episode that I picked as well. 2 of the same.
Yes, we should.
But I do love this episode. But it's your nice high concept science. So the white hole is opposite of a black hole. They encounter one. Various time bits keep getting spewed in. There's a great sequence where they're trying to have a discussion, and they keep encountering the middle and then the end, and then they encounter the end of it, and then they encounter the middle of it, and then they go back to the beginning of it, and it's a great repetitive joke.
So what is it?
Works really well. Exactly, that's the sequence, and it works really well through the whole thing. I also have a soft spot for Talkie Toaster. Because it's his second appearance. He's in an episode in season 2 where Lister's shaving and he starts singing Frank Sinatra, and he hits him. But yeah, and then the crux is that to plug up the white hole, they have to essentially play pool with planets, and it's Holly's version of it when she's got a 12,600 odd IQ versus Lister after a few cans of Wicked Strength Lager. And of course they all choose Lister because why not? Everyone agrees that Rimmer's right and they should go with Holly, but they all pick Lister because Cat can't deal with the fact that he'd be voting for someone with Rimmer's dress sense. Crichton has to side with the living human, rather than a hologram. But it's really funny. And obviously he pulls off a ridiculous trick shot at the end.
Yeah, even if he's pished.
Genuine, exactly, pished. And then I like what it does, because it stays with, I believe, it obeys string theory, because the timeline that they occupy is redundant. So it ends with Crichton just having a go at Rimmer because he knows that the timeline's going to cease to exist and no one's going to remember, so he can say whatever he wants. So he finally gets to call him a smeghead and stuff, and it's just a great episode. I really like it. Like I say, not Not one of the deeper ones. As we get further up the list, I think there's ones that explore slightly deeper stuff.
Yep.
But I just think it's funny, entertaining. They've got no power. There's a sequence at the beginning where they're trying to fry an egg with a hairdryer. That's really funny.
Yeah, he's like, he's sat on the pedal bike and stuff.
I could just sit and quote brilliant scenes in it because they're just really, really funny. But so Whitehall, that would be my number 5 from season 4.
Okay, I'm going to start oddly with the first ever episode of Red Dwarf. Now,
so you're going to start at the end?
I'm going to start at the end, literally the end, because that is the title of the first episode of the first series. We're not going to go seasons because we're British and it is series, not seasons. And I mean, this for me was just. I remember watching this when I was a kid, because again, we're old. We remember watching this way back when.
I've only been 10 maybe when I first saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 1988. I don't think I saw it in 1988.
No. I think I started watching it from season 2, season 3 onwards, I think.
I remember I was at my nan's, actually, in Birmingham, randomly on a Friday night.
So this one immediately establishes the relationship between Rimmer and Lister. Even watching that way back now, because I've had to rewatch it recently, there's instant chemistry between the two of them.
Absolutely.
Within the first 30 seconds. It's the first time that we ever hear the word smeghead. And I remember calling somebody a smeghead at school one day and getting looks of absolute disdain from people, wondering what the fuck I had just said.
A smeghead.
I was like, okay, you're clearly not a dwarfer. It's just hilarious. Again, you like you say, there's so many lines even in this first episode. I'm gonna say
it's the comedy repetition again with the everybody's dead, Dave.
Yeah. I'll get there. You're jumping ahead now. Come on. The first one for me is where Lister talks about his ambition, and he's just like, I'm going to buy a sheep and a cow and breed horses. I mean, it just.
I've forgotten that line. Cow and breed horses.
Yeah.
With horses and horses.
I mean, even lines like this. It's within the first 10 minutes, and I'm wetting myself when I'm yoga. Again, this is the episode which kind of establishes a lot of the stuff which is gonna be the forefront of this series moving forward. It establishes what a hologram is, what it means before we even. Yeah, exactly. It establishes all of that by bringing us a deceased member of the crew back. It shows us how much Rimmer wants to be an officer, but basically has no intelligence and is never going to be able to get to that position. Trying to write every sheet on his body, and then pretty much succumbing to, well, not only does he turn into a fish, which is again part of the joke, it may well be that he's actually got ink poisoning because he's written quite literally an entire book on his body.
Is that the one where he then pulls his sleeve up and he's sweated so much it's just...
Oh yeah, it's just right over down.
He just does a handprint.
Correct.
And then signs it.
Correct.
Is it the one where they reference the you wrote "I am a fish" 400 times, did a funny little dance and fainted?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Because my quick sidebar, sorry. When I was at school doing my mock GCSEs, I think it was my Spanish paper or something I didn't know an answer to, so I wrote "soy un pez," which is "I'm a fish" in Spanish. Somehow my physics teacher got hold of this knowledge, because he must have spoken to the Spanish teacher, I guess, and he was a big Red Dwarf fan. So I was sat in my physics mock exam, and he was walking around the tables, and he just dropped a piece of tracing paper on my table, and it just said "a fish," and was a drawing of a fish in pencil. And then I kind of looked around and watched him, and then I saw him sort of chuckle to himself, go back to the desk, grab another piece of tracing paper, and walk past my desk again. And then, like I say, this is in the middle of the hall, and my mock GCSEs, and he drops it on my table, and it's a kipper. And it just says "Kipper?" underneath. I just pissed myself. Absolutely pissed myself. But yes, anyway, sorry. I just thought it was a funny little sidebar that he did.
That's a story I've not heard before. That's good. It's, even after all these years, there's still things I don't know. Yeah, there you go. So like we said, Rimmer wants to be an officer and is clearly never going to get there. Lister has no real drive. He's kind of happy in his position. He's obviously already come up with his future life of, breeding horses with a sheep and a cow. We establish that he's in love with Kachansky.
Yep.
He's put into stasis over a cat, which he's obviously adopted, Frankenstein the cat. And then we go into this is the bit that absolutely tickles me, even going back and watching this, is that the sci-fi trope of putting somebody in stasis. Now he steps in, he's waving, and then literally a split second later he walks out the door and he's like, is that it? Am I done? And that's it. You always get in so many sci-fi programs, you get like a massive long period of time and all they're encased in ice and blah blah blah. No, he literally walks into a thing, waves, and then he doesn't even finish waving and then the door pops open.
Yeah.
Which is just, again, it's just brilliant. And then as he's walking around, you've already told the joke here, but he's just walking around saying, is this person dead? And he's like, yeah, everybody's dead, Dave. Everybody's dead. Everybody is dead, Dave. Then
Peterson's not, is he? Yes, Dave.
Yeah.
Everybody's dead, Dave.
And then you get Holly telling him that it's 3 million years. He's like, 3 million years? Jesus. And then Rimmer walks
Doesn't
in.
he say 3 million years? I've still got that library book.
Yeah, something like that. And then Rimmer walks in as a hologram, blames Lister for him being dead because he wasn't there to help him out.
Still drive place.
Again, classic Rimmer. We get the introduction of the cat, which is evolved from Frankenstein, and it just ends on the words, "Look out, Earth, the slime's coming home."
Yeah, that's right.
And the first time you get to hear that theme tune, and that eponymous theme tune, which it's just brilliant to this day.
Good old Howard Goodall did a great theme tune. He also did the Blackadder theme tunes as well. Howard Goodall, particularly the is it Blackadder the Second, the one where he's always walking away into the garden, and the song is always taking the piss out of him for what's happened to him in the episode, and they were all Howard Goodall as well.
So over to you.
Yeah, I do like that one. I like that one very much. So my number 4 is Backwards from Series 3. I really like this one. So the Crichton's learning to, because we got the addition of Crichton by this point. Obviously, in the end, he's not there. He comes in season 2, in a bit part, in one episode, and then joins full-time season 3. So he's learning to get his license to drive Starbug, or to fly Starbug, and Rimmer's his instructor. There's some brilliant sight gags with different road signs that he's got to identify. There's one that's like a scantily clad woman. He's like, dangerous space mirages ahead. And there's something like, you're travelling at half the speed of light. What's the stopping distance? 4 years, 3 months, and the thinking time a fortnight.
Yep.
And it's just, there's some cracking witty lines between the two of them on that one. But they get sucked into a time hole. The time hole takes them to Earth in the past, 1993, I think it is. 3991. That's what it is. So yes, they go back to 1993. Which of course is the present in the actual thing, which is hilarious. I never realised how 80s the early 90s was until I saw that.
Yeah.
It's still very 80s looking. And then they set themselves up as a comedy act while they're waiting for Lister and Cat to come and save them. But the joke is that the planet they've landed on, everything's running backwards. So you get cars driving backwards, you get Lister and Cat riding a bike backwards, you get, the best bit is the fight sequence. A barroom fight backwards is absolutely incredible, and this one makes the list because I like the premise, it's funny, like all the rest of them are, but the thought that went into this one. And I also love, because I've seen all the smeg ups and
you know what,
stuff that we did, and there's sequences that you see forwards, or you see what a character's saying forward. Before we even say about before the smeg ups and smeg outs videos, VHS's kids, that's still out there. VHS's. Before they had even come out, being the geek of a kid that I was, when I was watching this episode, I wanted to know what was being said in the backward section, so I recorded it on a little recorder, and on this little recorder I had the ability
to actually flip it and listen to it
Nice.
backwards. So before they'd even come out, I was pissing myself when the guy is berating them, and it makes absolutely no sense to the story. It's just like, I'm pointing at you, but I'm not pointing at you.
Yeah, I'm not pointing at you. I'm just pointing at the twat that's coming here and looks at face. I look at you, you flat top bastard.
Yeah.
It's great. I think it's Arthur Smith, actually, if I remember rightly. He runs the pub club that they're in.
Yeah.
That's interesting. There are a couple of moments where I'm absolutely positive people are speaking bollocks forwards because they couldn't do the body.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bit where she serves them a pint.
Yeah.
And she very clearly walks backwards.
Yeah.
Because they're forwards, and so obviously they couldn't do it, so she has to pretend she's walking naturally backwards and goes,
Yep.
It sort of makes up noise.
Again, a little bit later when they're talking, Crichton and the guy are talking, they're obviously back and forth, and Rimmer's there talking normal, so again, I think those sections,
think that's genuine, yeah. But yeah, it's a great episode. It's like I say, it's really well done. It's very funny. And yeah, I think it's it's my number 4.
Cool.
Makes it in there.
Cool. So, my number 4 is The Inquisitor. Now, there's so many different ones, and this one again was a bit of a deep one, I suppose you might want to say, because it was, we're talking about a guy who goes through time and erases those he deems unworthy of life and replaces them with those people that weren't given a chance.
Yeah, the sperms that never made it.
The sperms that never made it, yeah. And as Crichton is kind of explaining to Rimmer, it's just like, you have to have lived a life that wasn't egotistical, egocentric, and self-serving. And Rimmer's just like, you're just doing this on purpose now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because again, he's just like, if I'd have known this, I'd have made a better effort, which just makes me piss myself. Because again, it's just
classic Rimmer, as you say, because Rimmer is always blaming someone else for his shortcomings and his faults.
Yeah.
And it just comes up time and time and time again.
Yeah. But that's it. I mean, they even describe it a little bit later on as they're being interviewed by themselves to determine whether they're worthy of life, and it's like, it's a bit metaphysical, but yeah, the best thing is to be judged by yourself. So each one of them has to go in and defend themselves. You've got Rimmer, who's just like, it tries to, again, like you say, pass the buck on to, well, this is, my parents were useless and I have my brothers and rah rah rah, but at the same time you kind of look and go, yeah, you didn't exactly have the best start, did you, Rimmer? The cat's just completely vain. He's just like, well, I've got a great ass. Perfect. Crichton questions the validity of a robot or a sentient life form, that's adapted from AI, and questions that validity. It's like, well, I'm a tech and you're a tech. Yeah, exactly. And then Lister's just like, spin on it, because he just doesn't give a shit. He's just like, who are you to judge me? Obviously, we know that Lister and Crichton are deemed unworthy and then erased from time. And then it's just that lovely sci-fi trope, though, of them having that little time travel element. That Crichton comes back, and that's that whole little interplay there. And again, it fits within the context of this character, this Inquisitor character, jumping through time and trying to erase people and all that kind of stuff. They meet their replacements, who are just very, very bizarre comparisons to them. Don't seem to be different characters. They seem to be Crichton and Lister. They just look different. The sperms that didn't make it, as you might put it. Obviously, Lister outsmarts the Inquisitor. We've always known that Lister was a pretty intelligent guy, if he put his mind to it. As the Inquisitor or his version of the Inquisitor even says to him, if he'd have actually put himself out there, if he'd have actually done something, he could have made something of his life.
Yeah.
He just chooses not to. But it's all, and eventually they delete the Inquisitor from history, and it's all undone. Now, one little anecdote I will mention. Now, this is a theory. I don't know whether you'd have ever heard of this. It kind of doesn't sit true because of later things, but I'll explain. So there was actually a theory that Kochanski, the reason we get a different Kochanski in season 7,
Chloe and Annette, they changed.
Yeah, is because of the Inquisitor.
Right.
But it doesn't exactly. It does, but it also doesn't. So the idea is that
the Inquisitor from history.
They deleted the Inquisitor from history. So by doing so, they undid all of his work.
So the theory is he changed Kochanski at some point.
Yes. However, But it does work and it doesn't work. So in the next series, in Series 6, they have the episode of Sirens, and Lister sees Kochanski.
And it's Claire Grogan.
However, at this point, that's the memory he has of Kochanski.
True.
So again, it's just a very weird fan theory.
But, because I didn't really watch it, but the one where they get Kochanski in Season 7, isn't it that she's come from a parallel universe anyway?
True. But everybody recognises her as Kochanski. So it's just a very weird one, but I thought it was an interesting little anecdote. All the same. Right, so that's my 4. Over to you for 3.
So my 3 would be Quarantine.
Okay.
Season 5. This one, I watched this one again this week, and I still laugh now, which is absolutely ridiculous. Even though I'm mouthing along to pretty much every line because I know it all, I still laugh now.
Mm-hmm.
It's an important one because it introduces us to the luck virus and the sexual magnetism virus that end up playing huge roles in, let me see, was it Season 8? I think they get them out of jail in Season 8.
Yeah.
They get back to the Dwarf and they're trying to get out of at the beginning.
Well, I'll say 8.
Season 8, well, it's a slight issue with Season 8 is as well that everything seemed to be a multi-part episode. There's only like 1 or 2 single-part episodes in there. The opening, Back in the Red, is 3 parts.
Yeah.
And then there's the one about the dinosaur, Pete, part 1 and 2. But yeah, they play a big part in that. They go and investigate a crashed planet. They go and investigate a distress signal on a planet. It turns out to be a scientist who was doing viral research. They wake her up. There's some fantastic sight gags where they're rubbing dust off a wall to see what the hazard signs say, and the last hazard sign is literally just someone split in half and guts spilling out of them. It's hilarious. And then Crichton does the thing of looking at the sky scanner going, they're... oh, hold on. It's not working. Just give me a second. Yep. And we are going to live. Okay. And it's so fucking brilliant. But they wake her up and she's nuts because she's got one of the viruses. She's a hologram. She's got a holo virus. She transfers it to Rimmer. Rimmer goes back to the ship. Now, again, another important part of this one, something that's established prior to it and then carries on throughout the rest of the seasons, is the Space Corps manual. And Crichton's vindictive use of it against Rimmer, always, it seems.
Space Corps directive.
Like, why is there no Space Corps directive stopping people from eating sugar puff sandwiches on somebody else's bunk and stuff? So he gets a copy of the manual and goes back to Red Dwarf. And obviously on the way back he reads it, and the guys have been infected to potentially exposed to stuff, so they have to go into quarantine. Again, Rimmer's using the book, so he gives them single-person quarters, he has to provide entertainment, and it's like wallpaper pasting and stippling. Wallpaper pasting, painting and stippling a DIY guide or something like that, a crochet magazine, a chess set with 31 missing pieces, and various other things, and he concocts a sprout diet for them all day, every day, and they've got to stay in there for 3 months. And we cut 5 days, and they've already beaten the shit out of each other. And then we get the brilliant sequence where Rimmer's been sat listening to their conversation for a while they've been going a bit nuts. And the light shines on Rimmer, and he's wearing a red and white check gingham dress and army boots, complete with pink blonde pigtails sticking out the side as well. And so he's gone nuts, so they then have to try and escape, and they manage to escape and save Rimmer and all that sort of stuff. But the comedy throughout it is fantastic.
Yeah.
There's when they first see Rimmer, they're like, "Are you alright?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine," and they say they're completely sane. And it ends up he tricks them, and he says, "So let me get this straight. You want to go and see the king of the potato? You want to fly on a magic carpet, see the king of the potato people, and plead with him for your life? And you're trying to tell me you're completely sane?" Which I think is great. And then when they escape using the luck virus, and then we see Mr. Flibble. And Mr. Flibble has eyes that will shoot lasers as well as Rimmer's, and Mr. Flibble's very angry, and there's a great bit where Crichton gets a medium-sized fire axe embedded in his spinal column, which is very good. But yeah, it's like I say, it's one of my favourites just because it's so goddamn funny.
It is. No, there are so
funny, and like I say, it brings, when you think about it now, it's where the lock virus and sexual magnetism virus come from, and they are important parts going forwards. And the Space Corps manual, it's the first time we ever actually see it, and we understand what some of the regs are and stuff, and then someone else uses it. And like I say, they keep going back to it as we go forwards.
No, yeah,
and Rimmer, because then the joke is that Rimmer misquotes Space Corps directives as we go forwards, and then Crichton takes the piss out of him
because he thinks he knows them. Yeah, there are so many one-lines in there. He's just like when he's on the phone. On the radio to Dr. Langstrom, and he's just like, "Oh, give in, Dr. Fruit Loops, do tell me." And just again, like you want to go and see the King of the Potato People? Yeah, little three-seater.
Yeah.
All those little tropes are just hilarious. You get my hackles up. It's heckles. And every
heckles, feckles, schmeckles.
Yeah. And there's so many funny freaking moments within this. That's the thing. Like, this series was phenomenal for so many different episodes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, most definitely. It was very close. It was very, very close to being on my top 5. I won't lie.
Okay, back to you.
So my next one is Gunman of the Apocalypse.
This is the one that made my list, but I kicked it out.
Yeah, sorry about that. We had to compare. We don't often compare lists. We try not to, but we were acutely aware that we're both huge Red Dwarf fans, and that we didn't want to necessarily cover every single episode at the same time. There is one that we will share for understandable reasons, but I had to kind of make Pete push this one out of his list. So this one just starts off just brilliant. Lister in an AR machine who is clearly just addicted to having sex with loads of random AR women. And even the joke at the point, right at the beginning, even Rimmer kind of jokes and he's just like, "You've worn out that groin-on attachment in 3 weeks. It has a lifetime guarantee."
Yeah, groin attachment has a lifetime guarantee,
They run into then a bunch of rogue simulants, which again is setting up, introducing them to rogue simulants. They appear a little bit later in the series, and then they kind of get mentioned a couple of times in later series as well, which again is kind of cool because they create these villains which appear a little bit later. So they try to hide from the rogue simulants by becoming the Vindaloo Empire.
Indeed,
which is just
and Bindi Badgie.
Yeah, and just basically taking Crichton's eyeballs and just popping them on their chins to try and try and hide away from him.
Where all Cat does is stick his tongue out and put it back in his mouth, but because it's being shot upside down, looking at his mouth with an eyeball on his chin, such a simple thing is actually a hilarious little side gag.
So they try and basically their ship is updated. You know, the Starbug is finally given like lasers and stuff, and it's like, hey, Starbug's got lasers, badass. And they're like, you know what? Let's fight. Let's not run away. Let's fight. It's the last thing they'd expect, and this is coming from Cat, and they're all like, what the? Why is he coming up with? And they agree with him, and he's like, what? Why are you going with my idea? Who's going to go with my idea? Which is just a brilliant setup for later. So
can I just say the line, because I love the line that Rimmer does, where Cat says it's the last thing. Someone said, whoever says it's the last thing they'll be expecting, and Rimmer says no, the last thing they'll be expecting is for us to dress up as mongooses and tap dance to Bolero.
So they're attacked by the simulants, and then they basically take the simulants down, which is a huge shock. They're like, even they're surprised, and they're like, okay, let's transmit the Armageddon virus. So they realise that their Navicom is completely screwed. So Crichton's like, okay, do you mind if I sacrifice myself to try and do this? Of course, yeah, fine, do it. So Crichton basically takes on the virus, and he has to shut himself down so that they can, fight the virus off and come up with an antidote. So as they're watching his dreams, as he tells them to, they realise that he's losing this battle. So they decide to plug themselves into his dreams to try and help him fight off this virus. So you get them each selecting a character. There's a shooter, there's a fist fighter, there's a knife man, and then they just appear suddenly in this version of Crichton's mind, which is again, they just appear, and then they go up to the bar to order drinks. And again, it's the line that Rimmer just goes up. He's like, I've seen westerns, I know what I'm doing. dry white wine and a Perrier, please. And I was just even going back and watching this time and again, I still piss myself at that.
That line is
dry white wine and a Perrier, please. And then Kat tries to order drinks. He's like, hey, dos tequila, por favor. And Lister's just Lister's like 3 shots of gulping whiskey, man. So eventually they run into Crichton, and he doesn't believe anything that they're saying, and then tries to run away because he's just not interested in the fight. And this is showing off the skills. Cat just pulls out his gun, ricochets a bullet, hits the sign, knocks him out, and it's just hilarious because again, it's the last thing you kind of expect. You just
it's a great little western for like 10 minutes. It's the story of the sheriff who's given up because he's being run out of town, so he's turned to the bottle, and they've got to try and pick him back up again and make him remember why he's here to try and stop this virus and stuff. But it's a cool little sort of weird sci-fi western.
Which is funny because you don't like westerns.
And aliens, which
is funny. You don't like westerns and you like this.
No, I know, but I love Firefly as well.
Yeah,
I still consider it to be a western, really.
Oh yeah, I suppose. So eventually, they make him eat a shit ton of raw coffee. As they're going out to fight to try and buy him some time, they suddenly lose their abilities. It's just hilarious watching Rimmer try and get his head, his helmet off, and just constantly getting smashed in the head with a pole because he's just Rimmer getting injured is always hilarious. Eventually they manage to escape. Crichton comes up with the antidote, and then for me it's the beautiful little ending where they suddenly input the antidote into the Navicom. They still crash into the sun, but then they ride off, and it's like and then you get the little different music. And so again, it was just a different one. I loved it because again, I'm a sucker for a good western, and this was in essence a great western. Just taking the sparks of the AR, which comes again later, and simulants and stuff like that. So so that was
that's good.
That was
my little nuggets on that one. The western set is in Kent. It's a permanent western town that exists right down in Kent, and that's where they filmed that one. And also, it was nominated for 2 Emmys back in 1996, that particular episode. Only that episode. And obviously, back in the day, it was quite a thing for a British show, certainly back in the 90s, for a British show to be nominated for an Emmy was a hell of a thing. I mean, now it's far more common, but back then it was a huge thing. So yeah, I love that episode as well. As I say, that had made my list, but I knocked it out to allow us to talk about it like that.
Go on, yours next.
So, let me just consult my list. So, number 2 is Back to Reality.
Okay.
Another one from Season 5. So, the story of this one is they are fighting, they're raiding a ship, looking for salvage. They are attacked by something, they try to run away, they crash, and then like a game over screen appears. And they wake up in some sort of video game setting. They all look a bit different. Crichton's not a mechanoid anymore. They don't know who they are, though. But they're told they've been playing a virtual reality video game called Red Dwarf for the last 4 years.
By Timothy Spall, of all people.
Exactly.
Brilliant
Timothy
cameo.
Spall
So I'm using Spall.
as the Brummy Git, who I absolutely adore. This is what is it? The microdot. The microdot of the captain's message hidden in the microdot of the eye that leads Rimmer, that helps Rimmer understand why he's such a twonk, because he was a secret agent, and he helps Lister jumpstart the second Big Bang with the jump leads from Starbug.
Correct.
Imagine all that in a Brummie accent, because I'm not going to attempt it. He does it too well. But they then, as they're discovering who they are, they start to realise that they are basically either the opposite of what they thought they were in the game, or they can't blame the same stuff. Like Rimmer can't. It turns out Rimmer is Lister's brother, and Lister is massively successful with loads of money, and Rimmer is a hobo. So he can't blame his upbringing anymore, because he had the same upbringing as Lister, yet Lister is superbly successful, and he isn't.
We get the introduction of Dwayne Dibley.
Exactly, Dwayne Dibley, it's his first one, so...
I don't want to be Dwayne Dibley.
A no-style gimbo with teeth the druids could use as a place of worship, I think is the line. So again, that's completely the opposite. So he doesn't like who he is. Rimmer doesn't like who he is. Lister, as we discover more, turns out actually they're living in a fascist state, and he is essentially the head of the Ministry of Alteration. That is, what is the line? It's you're in charge of turning alive people into dead people. So he then hates himself. So they're all starting to find things about themselves that they can't live with, and Crichton shoots another police officer who's a human, and that's against his programming, but he was going to shoot a little girl, so what do you do? And they all try and kill themselves with a gun. But then the twist comes, which is that actually all of this is a massive hallucination. So we cut back to Starbug, and we get a brilliant sequence where they're trying to escape from the police in a car or in a limo. And they're sat on boxes as seats, and they're moving left and right as they're driving along, and Rimmer keeps seeing things out of the window. He's like, oh, helicopters, looks like they've got a personal rocket launcher. And so they're having to chicane through things and go over speed bumps and stuff, and again, there's a brilliant smeg up where one of them...
I literally was just thinking that, they're all just pissing about because they're bouncing around like lunatics.
It turns out it's all a hallucination by the Despair Squid, which is the thing that attacked them in the first place, and Holly finally manages to drag them out of it before they all killed themselves. The Despair Squid is a hilarious construction, and the beginning sequence where they're finding the wreckage of the previous ship, there's a fish that has voluntarily closed its own gills, and Kat says, what, you mean this fish committed suicide?
So he committed suicide, he committed suicide, and he committed suicide.
There's a pattern here I'm just not seeing. But yeah, it's really funny. Timothy Spall's great. There's a great sequence where they watch the next gang who've gone in to play the video game, and they're all big and buff, and it's all wow 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 guitars over their stuff, and they look super awesome. And again, that just all brings them down, which is the whole point of the Despair Squid, to make them hate themselves and kill themselves, which is its defense mechanism. But yeah, I just it has that little extra depth with it, because it deals with their characters and the makeup of their characters and what makes them who they are and how they understand themselves within the world. You know, as all of us struggle to at times in life, you know, where you try and find your place and where you fit into a particular structure or system. So yeah, I think it's really relatable on that level as well.
Yep. No. Again, it's that whole series. I think in general was just phenomenal.
I like Demons and Angels. That's got some funny stuff in it.
Yeah.
Hollow Ship I can do without. Although Jay Morris is in it, and he's really good.
But again, I think that one's really good because again, it's Rimmer-centric, and it kind of shows the fact that he really has no confidence in himself, and you know, as he points to his H, and he's like, I look at this, I don't see hologram, I see half wit.
Yeah.
And again, it shows
I suppose it is good in that way because it does explore.
Yeah,
his character far more.
That's it. It shows his vulnerabilities. That
quite a lot of them do thinking about it. Because Terraform.
Yeah.
Is that series as well, which is all about him.
Yeah.
A mind remapping, a world remapping itself to Rimmer's mind.
Yeah, you've got the light and the dark on the Demons and Angels, or as Rimmer likes to say, the hippies. I mean, it is just a great series. It was just a great series. It was.
So
right,
so are we at number one time.
No, we've still got. I've still got one more. Still got one more. So for me now, as I said, I did go and pick one which was in season 10. The reason I really enjoy this is because it does play back to some of the stuff that's occurred in past series, and emphasises the fact that Lister is his own father. So this one is called Father and Sons. So this is all basically about Lister. So he's to begin with, he's visiting the dentist, but he's really scared because he doesn't want to visit the dentist because it's this Lister, for Christ's sake. But he explains to Rimmer that he's basically going to get mega drunk because he's writing in a Father's Day card for himself. And he even again, I love the fact that he even uses this phrase within it. He goes, just because of some time traveling, paradoxy sci-fi smeg on my own dad.
Yeah.
And that just makes me laugh because we've seen that whole interplay and the fact that he doesn't really know his parents when he's growing up and then suddenly reveals that he is his own father. Yeah,
so it accepts the continuity and moves forward.
Exactly.
Which is funny because then at other times it just completely abandons continuity.
Yeah.
Hilarious in itself when they do that.
Apparently he does it every year. and writes a card. Basically gets himself drunk, writes a card, and has no idea what's going to be in it. So it's a complete surprise. And then Crichton walks in with a card from the previous year, and he's just like, "Oh, my daddy's so great," and he's like giving him a card with dreads in it and stuff like this. A bit of poppadom in the card. But as Rimmer questions like to Lister, he's like, "Well, your dad's a bit of a disappointment, isn't he? Where's he been all your life?" Again, it's just that interplay between Lister and Rimmer. Just throughout all of this, Rimmer's just like, "Yeah, but your dad's pretty shit. I mean, granted it's you, but you're pretty shit as well." So, I mean, the sub part of this whole thing as well is that Rimmer and Crichton are bringing a new computer program online, which again is just a sub part of the story. But again, it's hilarious because it is still within the tropes of this crew. That Rimmer, in typical fashion, goes for a hot, blonde, big-breasted woman, and then every other question, frame rate doesn't matter. Every question is like, no, that's fine, big boobs, blonde, and he goes through all, and then it's just like accent, whatever. Again, just Rimmer being Rimmer, and eventually this new computer, comes online, and then basically causes absolute fucking havoc on the ship because it's predetermines every decision that is supposed to be made, and because Rimmer is the highest ranking officer on the ship, it predetermines what he would actually tell her to do, so she starts breaking the ship because that's exactly what Rimmer would do. And that's just, again, it's just hilarious in that. But while this is all going on, Lister gets completely blackout drunk, leaves himself a video message, and basically says to himself, "You're a big disappointment to me, David." And it's just hilarious because he's calling himself a massive disappointment. He knows exactly what he's going to say and how he's going to react. He's like, "Oh, I'm all right." And he just starts parodying himself, and he's just basically like, "Right, I want you to go and get that tooth fixed. Go right now, go and get that tooth fixed. Once you've done that, play the next message." And this is like, "Fuck it, I'll play the next message." "You didn't do it, did you? I told you, go and do it, then come back and play the next message." "Right, I've told you one more. Right, if you don't do this, you see that guitar you love, if you don't do it, I'm going to flush it out into space." He doesn't believe him. He's like, "How the fuck is he going to do that? The guitar's there." So he plays the next message. He's like, "Right, go over to the guitar, pick it up," and it turns out it's a paper cutout. And that's just again, it's just the hilarious interplay between Lister and Lister. So eventually he goes to the dentist and kind of says, "Oh yeah, I want to get my tooth fixed," but Cat's stealing all of the antiseptic, and then so he registers himself as his son and also his father, which again comes in for the later part because Lister eventually saves the ship from this new computer that's breaking practically everything, and Lister saves it because he's his own son, and when he reported to the dentist, he registered himself as a dependent. And because he's a dependent, the ship now has to do what he says and basically automatically deletes itself.
Oh, nice.
So he then enlists himself in the JMC for a robotics program, but then Crichton walks in with a tray of gifts like champagne, zero-G kickboxing, and he just basically returns back to Lister.
Yeah.
But again, I think it really tickled me because it was the first one from the 8-9 run, or whatever, the Back to Earth it was, and this was the one that just made me piss myself out loud because I was just like, Lister interacting with Lister, dealing with the repercussions of him being his own son. Like I say, it was Return to Form. The next one, the one after this as well, was it almost edged in, which was Lemons, where they go kind of back in time and meet Jesus, or who they believe to be Jesus, and stuff like that. Again, there were a good few episodes in that season for me. 11 not so much, but I really enjoyed season 10 as a whole. Cool. Right, back over to you.
So last one then.
Yeah.
Like I say, this is actually the top of my list, but it's from series 3. It's Maroon.
Yep. So this was both on both of our lists. I didn't really put these in a specific order of such. I just wrote down 5 because it's really hard to put these in a specific order, I find, because it's Red Dwarf. But yeah, I mean, what an episode this is.
Yeah, it is. I see you got a quote.
the quote is just Holly right at the start, and it's just like, how did you not spot 5 black holes? He's like, well, you see, the thing about black holes is they're black, and the thing about space is it's one given nature is that it's black. So how are you supposed to see them? And it's just like, yeah, but 5 black holes. How do you miss 5 black holes?
Yeah.
And it's just, hilarious.
It's
just
great. So the story runs, they have to, is it abandon Red Dwarf?
Yeah.
So Lister and Rimmer go on one ship.
Yep.
And Cat and Crichton, do they stay on Red Dwarf?
No, they take the blue midget.
They do take blue, don't they? So anyway, Starbug crashes and Rimmer and Lister end up trapped on an ice planet with dwindling resources and waiting for rescue. And essentially, that's the crux of the whole episode. They're just stuck on a planet.
See, I actually noted exactly the resources that they have, because again, this is just these are the lines that absolutely tickle me. So as Lister's like, so okay, so what resources do we have? And Rimmer's like, well, we've got half a bag of soggy smoky bacon crisps, a tin of mustard powder, 3 water biscuits, a brown lemon, 2 bottles of vinegar, and a tube of that Bonjela gum ointment, the minty stuff. Yeah. It's quite nice. And then as they reveal, there's also a pot noodle and a tin of dog food.
Yep.
To which Lister replies, well, we know what's going to get eaten last. I hate pot noodles.
Yeah, I love that.
I hated pot noodles as well. I agreed with him. Yeah. I hated pot noodles.
Later on, because there's also, they make a joke in season 5, don't they? Demons and Angels. Mm-hmm. He gets a pot noodle.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
He's like, oh my god,
this is magnificent.
Because the line is something like, I've played pool with planets, I've been to the edge of the solar, so I've done this, I've done that, but I have never, ever thought I would ever taste an edible pot noodle.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant. He ends up eating the dog food later on, doesn't he?
He does.
Looks fairly genuine.
Yeah, he does.
I wouldn't be surprised if Craig Charles actually did.
And he explains that now he understands why dogs lick their testicles.
Yeah, to take away the taste. My reasons for loving this one really is the simplicity of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the core of it. It's the essence of it. It's the essence of, as you said, when looking back at the end, it works. That episode works brilliantly, and actually it's just Rimmer and Lister mostly for a lot of it. Yes, there are bit part characters around and the cat gets introduced, but mostly it's them. And again, when we think about all of season 1, most of season 2, apart from the one episode, it's 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And Cat was always the sort of come-in comedy relief. Those 2 were always the driving force. So you boil it down to just them 2 for 15 minutes, and it's fantastic. And like you say, it's the dwindling resources, but Rimmer doesn't need resources, and Lister has to keep warm. So they have to decide what they're going to burn, and they've got prized possessions, and Lister doesn't want to burn his guitar, and Rimmer doesn't want to burn the Arme du Nord, or the trunk.
Yep. Camphorwood.
What's it? Camphorwood.
The camphorwood trunk.
Camphorwood trunk. But Lister agrees that he's going to burn his guitar, but he wants a minute to sing a song with it. So Rimmer goes for a walk, and he comes back, and the guitar's burning. And then Rimmer says he'll burn the army. And you think they've had a big friendship thing, because even Cat and Crichton show up and save them, and Rimmer talks to Crichton. He's like, yeah, he's changed, that one. I've seen a side of him I've not seen before.
Yeah, he calls him a man of honour.
That's it, a man of honour. And then Lister comes back in, gets his guitar out of the cupboard, and we discover that actually he cut a guitar-shaped thing out of the camphorwood trunk and burnt that instead.
But again, it's
Have you got the final line written? Because I can't remember it.
I do, but it's pre-set up earlier in the thing, because as before the whole crash appears, Alex, Lister and Rimmer are talking, and he's just like, I went to this place, and it was where Alexander the Great was, and he's just like, I went back and I saw a therapist, Donald, who took me back and regressed me back, and it turned out I was Alexander the Great's chief eunuch. And so again, that comes up later on when Lister gives Rimmer's eulogy in much later season. He's like, Alexander the Great's chief eunuch has gone back to his master. But no, he ends this episode and he's just like, Crichton, we're going to go do to Lister what Alexander the Great once did to me. But like you say, this was fantastic because it was just the interplay between Rimmer and Lister.
Talk about because they get deep, don't they?
They do.
The story about losing your virginity.
Yeah.
On what was it? The 9th hole of Bootle Municipal Golf Course.
Yeah. You couldn't have been a full member. It's like, I dropped my skateboard. Yeah. How old were you? 12.
Yeah.
You couldn't have been a full member.
You couldn't have been a full member.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Burning the books, and as he's burning the books, he's just like, Sir Francis Bacon, Eric Van Lustbader. Yeah, Van. Bread van, meat van, food. And then they get to Lolita. and he's just like, "Oh, don't burn that page."
Yeah, tear out page 67.
Yeah, and it's just hilarious interplay between the two of them.
Yeah, it is, and like I say, the comedy in it is great, and it, like I say, it boils down to those two, and for a good 15 minutes of the episode, if not a little bit more, maybe the best part of 20, it's just a two-hander, and you've always got to appreciate that sort of stuff. Like, I don't know whether we'd ever do a Friends episode, but spoiler, the best one is the one where no one's ready, because it's a real-time 23-minute episode with everyone getting ready to go to Ross's thing, and we never ever leave.
You know what? I'd never considered doing a Friends one. I think maybe we should. Yeah,
it's just set in their apartment for the whole episode. People come in and out, and at the beginning of the episode, Ross is like, "Right, we've got 25 minutes before we got to go," and then it plays out pretty much real time, even including ad breaks in there. So
no, you know what? I'd not even considered doing that. So yeah, I think we should.
That's the best, because it's the essence.
Yep.
Again, you boil it down. It's a sitcom, so it should be. There's your situation. There's your characters. Make the comedy. That's the point. And yeah. Anyway, I digress. Like I say, I didn't know whether you'd seen enough Friends to suggest an episode.
No, I mean, of course I've seen
a billion times.
Who hasn't seen Friends a billion times? Oddly enough, I think it's called a bottleneck episode, because it comes up, the trope of confining a bunch of people into a space comes up in Community, and they call it, they call it a bottleneck episode because they're all trapped, and they have the exact same thing. They basically trap themselves in the room because they're like, a pen has been lost. Literally, a pen has been lost, so they're on complete and utter lockdown. Like, one of them cancels a date, and he just rings her up. He's like, "Yeah, I'm doing a bottleneck episode," and he just throws the phone down, and it's just like, "Okay, fine." So there, yeah, it is. That's the thing. It's quintessential Red Dwarf at the end of the day.
Absolutely at its most basic, and it works at its best. I feel. Anything more to say on that one?
I don't think so. I think, you know what? I think
we're about the hour mark. So
this is the first one in a while we haven't actually run over.
Oh, I'd say an hour's running over, considering we were aiming for 45 to 50 minutes when we first started.
Nobody's complaining that they're not listening to us enough.
We've quickly gone over that. Yeah, true. Complaints on a postcard to I don't give a fuck.
We do apologise for the break in this episode of ScreenMasters, but it does seem as Bav and Fluff have caught the Dave and Phil bug, which means it's going to take me another 6 hours to edit all the swearing out. We do apologise, and we now take you back to the end of their show. Thank you.
So, shout out time. Facebook page is facebook.com/the ScreenMasters. Go over there, like the videos, like the page, comment on them, do whatever you want. Just don't jizz on it. Then go to the YouTube channel, Bite Back Media YouTube channel. Sorry?
Why would they jizz on it?
I have no idea. I'm tired. This is the second episode. I'm tired. For those that haven't realised by now, we record these back to back, so I'm always ruined by the end of the whatever the even numbered one is. YouTube channel, Bite Back Media, spelled bite like a computer bite, not a food bite. Patreon.com, go over there, do that if you want to. Like I say, the YouTube's really good for now. If we can get that up over 100, that'd be fantastic, because then it does start monetizing itself and kicking off algorithms, so I'm told. And finally, ScreenMasters at bitebackmedia.co.uk for any emails. We do read them all. We are sitting on some to do an episode where we perhaps just forget a topic and do some movie questions and TV questions.
Coolio.
We're also thinking about a road trip for a future recording up to the studio with our man Wayne. Potentially a video option there if anyone was interested in their monitors. Well, they'll die basically as soon as my face appears on them, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm a little more handsome. Because
you can't crack a monitor.
I'm a little more handsome, I think. I mean, the beard's coming in thick and fast, you know, that's fine.
That's the thing, you cover your ugliness with a beard, and I can't.
Son of a bitch.
Like I say, I'm ruined by the end of this one. I've gone
gone rogue.
I'm just going to shut up. I've gone Jack Bauer. So yes.
Is it Jack Bauer or is it John McClane?
Oh, John McClane, of course, because yes, Jack Bauer went John McClane, didn't he?
Throwback to the previous.
Well done. We referenced the previous episode. Right, that's it. I've had enough. I've been bad. Bad? I've been bad. I've been really bad. So I've been Bav.
I've been Fluff.
And this has kind of been ScreenMasters.